My wheelhouse of manga often revolves around finished series. Recently I've been trying to branch into ongoing series as there are so many series coming out that are easily classified as goated. With that in mind, here are my current favourite ongoing manga series. In this story, we follow Ruri, a seemingly nonchalant girl who enjoys her quiet, ordinary high school life. That is, until one random school day in which Ruri wakes up with sturdy horns sprouting from her scalp. The predictable reaction for this would to be freak out, and scream, and panic. But Ruri's mother reassured Ruri that there's absolutely nothing to worry about, because obviously she's half dragon. This manga follows Ruri's unusual adolescent journey. She's trying to maintain her quiet school life while gaining a new physical appearance that sticks out more than a police siren. This story never strays away from being a slice of life comedy. There's no superhero latex or secret identity code names in sight. It exclusively follows Ruri becoming accustomed to her brand new lifestyle. It's perfect, as it reminds me of when I was a kid and I was fantasizing about what life would be like with magical abilities. What would my daily life look like if I was a fire-breathing hybrid? Would I ever get cold in the winter? Would I ever be affected by spicy food? Just saying that, I feel like I would look super adorable with sturdy horns and fierce wings. There were even some moments when Ruri was interacting with her mum that I found myself reminiscing about my own childhood. After school on weekdays, we would often sit on the sofa and try and beat each other at Crash Team Racing on the PlayStation 1. When reading these specific panels, I felt like I could almost feel the PlayStation 1 controller in my hand again. In regards to art, it has a very simplistic yet expressive style, but has its moments of artistic intensity when the time calls for it. The illustrated interactions for each character will have you transported back to being a teenager in school once again. Reliving the mischievous moments between friends, the struggles of studying, and the silly little romance crushes. Ruri Dragon is incredibly addictive and easy to read, and with the author currently on break, it's fair to say that this story won't be ending anytime soon. Not to mention, the physical manga is super striking, with lovely bonus sketches after each chapter. I currently only have volume 1, but I'm super looking forward to grabbing volume 2 when it comes out. We all know the traditional narrative trope of Cupid, a young angelic figure carrying a bow and using its arrows to make people fall in love. There have been some variations over the last few years of this character template, such as Monster High and Tangled. However, we've never seen the premise turned on its head as much as this manga. Rather than a single Cupid, we have an entire elite force of Cupids. And do they carry bows and arrows? Absolutely not. Instead, these angelic beings are carrying modern day firearms. I'm talking pistols, SMGs, automatic rifles, grenade launchers, and a lot more. However, the mission still stays the same as traditional Cupids. Find suitable lovers for their targets and make them fall in love. The only downside is that the only way to become a Cupid in Love Bullet is to perish without actually experiencing love. At the time of writing, Love Bullet has 12 chapters. It's an action comedy, and yes, it is tagged as romance, but it's interesting to see the genre weaponized by the characters rather than it being a core pillar of its narrative. We do see the complexity and nuances of romance breaking down, showcasing that love truly is a battlefield, and one wrong move has the potential to ruin multiple relationships. As I kept reading, I did begin to enjoy Shio's character a lot less. I did find her taking away the spotlight from the student-mentor relationship of Kana and Koharu. Her personality just seemed a little bit too aggressive for my taste. However, this is my own personal preference, so don't let my thoughts steer you away from reading this manga. The art style is incredibly dynamic and flows incredibly smoothly. I'm able to follow a sequence of events within a fight scene, and the speed lines of a character's actions and the bullet speed only adds to the intensity of each blow. We're also presented with unique character designs, allowing each Cupid to stand out among the rest. This was an unfortunate issue that I ran into while reading Claymore. There are a huge cast of characters that fell under the same character type, but the visual differences felt too subtle in Claymore. It was difficult to tell the warriors from each other. But going back to Love Bullet, I have to mention the multitude of character backstories that are not only intriguing with how the characters became Cupids, but they're surprisingly heartbreaking. I won't go into it for spoilers, but it really did shoot an arrow into my heart. Last but not least, I'm a massive fan of the bold colour choice throughout, using bold colours to cut through the traditional manga aesthetic, and even going so bold as to use red rather than black for the sketches in the bonus pages. With the first release date of this manga being November of 2023, and with the chapters releasing every other month, there is concern for cancellation. However, with the constant community hype for this series, it's helping to boost the visibility. So fingers crossed, Love Bullet doesn't share the same status as Hunter's Guild Red Hood or Glinka and Gluna in the future. Maids are often depicted with cafes and akihabara or the primary costume for lewd interactions. So what if I told you a manga exists of a group of chill maids that enjoy their cleaning duties with no suggestive undertones? Not to mention that these maids are so cool that their primary mode of transportation are skateboards. That's right, this is Maid Skater. It highlights the juxtaposition of a well-presented appearance and a cat-like dexterity, crossed with the grunginess of skateboarding in an urban jungle. Imagine Mary Poppins fused with Tony Hawk. The way this manga presents itself is almost like a cartoon strip in which we see small snippets of the maid's day-to-day life. However, there is still an overarching super casual slice-of-life story happening in the background. Think Donyatsu, Shadow Council Vice President Gives Her All, or Nichijou. Just saying, we never see any maid costumes in Skate. Where are the maids at? In regards to the panel, I was absolutely mesmerised with how dynamic the skating panels were. I could almost hear the acrylic wheels roll on the pavement and the metal joints grind on the handlebars as Hannah was travelling around the city. Alongside striking panels, there was the occasional coloured page to really emphasise a moment in time and get a window into a potential reality of skateboarding maids. Skateboarding as a sport has been highlighted very little within manga. The closest we get is 8 and Skate the Infinite, both of which are highly acclaimed, but neither have a radical female protagonist. The beautiful thing about this manga was that it wasn't just a skateboarding maid gimmick, but we are really shown the craftsmanship of building the perfect skateboard, finding the perfect alloy wheels based on the individual's balance, equipping the right wheels based on the skateboarding environment, and not to mention the intricacies of placing the board grip to allow for stability and enhanced performances. As a reader, we're even gifted an educational panel about each mechanical part of a skateboard. It's not just 4 wheels connected to a piece of plank. I've never seen so much hype for skateboarding maids before. This artist regularly uploads sketches of maids skateboarding across the city who have no presence in the current story. He's just a fan. I do hope that more peculiar fusions are brought to life from the birth of this manga. Like, where are the cosplaying librarians or skydiving painters at? It does make me want to brush the dust off my longboard and go coasting in the park once again. I just loved the feeling of the wind brushing through my hair mixed with the thrill of gaining speed on a ramp. It's just incredibly tranquil. Yuki Kawaguchi is notorious for making perfect waifus in his stories, from Debonair Diamond in Hunter's Guild Red Hood to Canon Lin in Muscle Exorcism. His latest tale, Ota of the Flame, is no exception, with the beautiful muscle mummy named Ala Joki. But enough of my own personal desires, let's actually talk about the manga, shall we? Ota of the Flame started serializing in May of 2025 in Shonen Jump, even going as far as to feature on the front cover of the Shonen Jump magazine. The manga itself transports us into the harsh Nordic Ice Kingdom. The world is permanently engulfed in winter since the battle between Nordic warriors and the Ice Kingdom begun. We follow a kid with a kind-hearted soul called Ota. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. His current role is to fuel the hunger of the warriors on the battlefield with the ambitions to be powerful just like his father. During their trek towards the Ice Kingdom, their camp is suddenly ambushed by the demonic army of the Ice Kingdom, and Ota is left with two choices: die as an unaccomplished warrior, or battle to keep the flame alive in this harsh winter wonderland. It's a journey of a warrior's awakening on the battlefield. Through Ota's connection to the flames and the warmth of his heart, it makes him the perfect warrior to be chosen by the fire spirits to help fight against the Ice Kingdom. And it wouldn't be a Shonen Jump story if this fire spirit wasn't his permanent companion, much like Vegeta to Goku or Zenitsu to Tanjiro. In this tale, we're introduced to the side protagonist called
It's actually pronounced Fylgja.
But she's not just a companion, she's also the weapon that Ota fights with, as well as being the fire that heats Ota during his chilly adventure. I can't show too many panels as they are incredibly finite at the moment, and some moments in this manga should be savoured and not spoiled. Just know that you can expect the next evolution of Yuki Kawaguchi's iconic art style. We have a lot more colourful brushstrokes on the front panels to emphasise the beauty and the tranquility behind the battlefield. Not to mention the inspiration of Nordic artwork, adding to Kawaguchi's full house hand of cultural inspiration. So please, Shonen Jump, please don't take this series away like you did with Red Hood. I don't want my muscle mommy enjoyment experience to be cut short once again. Centuria is a dark fantasy manga serializing in Jump Plus since April 2024. This ongoing series was written by Toru Kuromori, a former assistant of Dandadan and Goodbye Eri. This narrative follows Julien, a young boy who escaped the shackles of his captivity to then find himself on a ship with 100 slaves. Upon the ship, Julien learns how to accept compassion from individuals who have nothing to lose. He forms an extra special maternal bond with a pregnant woman named Mira. However, a tragic eldritch tragedy struck the ship and resulted in most of the ship crew and slaves perishing, including Mira. Mira even went to the extreme of sacrificing herself to save Julien and her unborn child, Diana. With this sacrifice, Julien is also gifted a special ability by the eldritch being of the sea. Julien has gained the strength, speed, and lives of those people who were sacrificed on the ship. He's then set on a path filled with difficult relationships and complex moral challenges as he navigates through a world teeming with eldritch entities and corrupt royal military. He does this all while trying to raise Diana. Centuria dives into the themes of family, sacrifice, and human condition, breaking down why people make choices when they finally have something to lose. As someone who doesn't often experience the dark fantasy genre, I can vouch for how intense and emotionally captivating this is. One thing that makes Centuria stick out from other dark fantasy stories is introducing the element of eldritch horrors. We've seen demons, we've seen beasts, we've seen magic. However, thanks to Centuria, we can now open the weeb door to the Leshies, Elderbrains, and Leviathans of the world. I find that the art style really complements the dark tones. You can see how Toru Kuromori has visually evolved from their previous work on Dandadan and Goodbye Eri, while maintaining their unique modern art style. Toru Kuromori's art style has a way of showing sorrowful past on a character's face while they partake in joyous moments. The only characters we don't see harsh details on are the newborns, yet to experience life's harsh realities. There are some absolutely nutty panels of eldritch and mutative abilities reminiscent of the fight combat powers in Tokyo Ghoul. On a side note, we get to witness another beautiful muscle mummy within this dark tale. 2 muscle mummies in a single video? I know, what a treat! Let me introduce you to Angvul, a built-up, physically intimidating soldier who deeply cares for her adoptive family. Her duty is to investigate the unknown woodlands for any beings that could harm the 100-year-old king, or, as the citizens call him, the Supreme Lord. Her life may be filled with opposing morals, but her smile is soothing, her scars are beautiful, and her muscles could crush any watermelons in sight. She's beautiful. Ichi the Witch is set in a world filled with whimsical magic. but the only people who can wield this magic are women. No men allowed. This story doesn't follow an agile female protagonist. Oh no. We follow Ichi, a young feral boy raised in the wilderness after being abandoned at the age of 6, living by his code, death for death. Ichi exclusively hunts those who pose a threat to humans. Ichi's magical story begins by him hunting a creature that he has no previous hunting knowledge on. So of course, he sees that as a hunting challenge. What Ichi doesn't realize that this is no ordinary creature, but instead a powerful magic named Aurora. Magics are magical beings that are hunted exclusively by the witch community and grant their power to those who have passed their magic trial. The trial of this specific magic is to stop its heart. However, its heart is protected by a barrier that cannot be damaged by women. So what happens when you mix this trial with Ichi's feral hunting instincts? We end up with Ichi stabbing the magic through the heart and gaining the powers of this magic. Ichi not only gains Aurora's power of ultra amplification magic, but he also becomes the first male witch. With this magic, a spark becomes a fireball, a gentle breeze becomes a forceful tornado, and a quick hop turns into a multi-story leap. But this battle wasn't just witnessed by these two warriors, but it was also witnessed by none other than the most powerful witch in the magical community. This lady is the new contender entering the WWE arena of overpowered, confident, elegant presenting teachers. Rallying next to icons such as Gojo, Whis, and Kyusuke, or Ahara. Let me introduce you to Descaras, a powerful independent witch that prefers to tackle combat encounters her own way, rather than following the guidelines of the witch community. Descaras recruits Ichi as her assistant, and teams up with a witch cadet to protect humanity from powerful magics. As the story progresses, we find that Ichi may be part of a larger, deeper narrative that we were originally led on to believe. If I was to describe the plot using pre-existing anime, I would say it has the comedic delivery and magical societal associations of Mashle, with a high-stake narrative and combat style variety of JJK, sprinkled with a whimsical aesthetic of Ginka and Gluna. Ichi the Witch executes comedic delivery beautifully. It's like watching a symphony. There's a high use of over-exaggerated character expressions, matching the like of Dan Da Dan and One Punch Man, as well as the unpredictable actions of each witch, including the protagonist Ichi. You never know what he's going to do next in a combat situation. However, the story isn't just hee-hees and ha-has. The narrative thus far has a lot of emotional layers, diving into topics such as the true cost of power and the sense of purpose. At the time of recording, it's got about 40 chapters, however I am thoroughly looking forward to where this story goes next. Look at me go reading so many ongoing series. I feel like my current reading selection in AniList is so long now. I'm used to it being 1, maybe 2. Hope you found some interesting suggestions within this video. And let me know in the comments below if you have any recommendations for ongoing manga series. Okay, sayonara!